a grand welcome by Europe's longest-serving head of government for the bloc's newest leader.
I just want to be absolutely clear with all our German friends and with the German government that we in the UK want a deal. We seek a deal. And I believe that we can get one.
Boris Johnson is in Germany for his first state visit as UK Prime Minister. He wants to sell a new Brexit deal to replace the terms negotiated by his predecessor, Theresa May. But Chancellor Angela Merkel has said she's standing her ground.
I've always said that when one has the will to find these solutions, one can do so in a short period of time. The EU is ready to find a solution, but for that there is no need to reopen the withdrawal agreement.
Johnson wants to get rid of the provision that would preserve an open border between the UK's Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland, a member of the EU, in case Britain fails to reach a trade deal with the bloc. Pro-Brexit lawmakers are worried the backstop will prevent the clean break from the EU that Britain voted for more than 3 years ago.
The existing agreement just doesn't work for the UK, and Parliament's thrown it out 3 times. We can't have this backstop.
It's taken more than a year of talks to reach the current deal, and Brussels says it's the only option on the table.
Both sides began these negotiations with a commitment to avoid a hard border on the island of Ireland, and the backstop is the only means identified so far by both parties to honour this commitment.
A leaked government report has warned of food and medicine shortages due to the disruptions a hard Brexit would cause. Despite this, Johnson says that if the EU refuses to budge, the UK will leave the bloc without a deal. Paolo Montecillo, TRT World.
For more, let's go to Vicky Pryce, board member of the Centre for Economics and Business Research. She joins us from the French city of Bergerac. Welcome back to Money Talks, Vicky. Now, Prime Minister Boris Johnson is hoping that he can persuade European leaders like Angela Merkel to reopen Brexit negotiations. Do you think he can pull it off?
I don't think so. I don't think anyone expects that to happen. But of course, it's politics. You just don't know. But it doesn't look like either Angela Merkel or Macron are prepared to renegotiate the withdrawal agreement, which took them quite some time before they got to it. The truth is, I think, if you look at where Boris Johnson is that he's got an impossible task ahead, particularly since he has said that we're definitely leaving on the 31st of October. It doesn't leave him with a lot of room for manoeuvre if things don't go his way. Forget for a moment Europe. Just think about the UK Parliament, which is where most of the resistance at present is to his plans for no-deal Brexit.
Yes, and Boris Johnson has been very clear about his desire to scrap the Irish backstop from the deal, something that the EU has repeatedly refused to do. But if it means perhaps a Brexit that is more orderly, that will come with a deal, do you think Brussels might budge a little on that?
Well, I think Brussels would love to have an orderly exit. They'd love the UK to accept a deal which has a long transition period, during which you negotiate what your final trade agreement might be. We haven't even started talking about that yet. And we don't really know where Boris Johnson's coming from either. The interesting thing is that he's talking about actually having proper freer movement of people and scrapping some of the immigration targets. And he has said in the past things which suggest that he's very liberal in his attitude, but he's been cornered into this very, very difficult position, particularly because of the Brexit Party, which is the new party created after UKIP, the UK Independence Party leader, sort of started a new party, Nigel Farage, and they have been, well, they did for a while, gain ground and forcing him to go for this incredibly tight sort of position, which doesn't allow him to accept possibly an extension if he doesn't get his way with the UK Parliament. So he's trying to use this, I think, and lots of people do think that too, as a way of saying, if he doesn't get for anything he wants from the Europeans, he can blame the Europeans, and then he might actually go back to the people and say, right, let's have a general election and see what you guys think.
Interesting. Now, Boris Johnson also says he wants a deal, but he's also ramping up preparations for a no-deal Brexit. Do you think then he's just going through the motions, meeting Angela Merkel, Emmanuel Macron, writing to the EU? Do you think this is just a bit of theatre on his part to give the appearance of perhaps, you know, trying to seal a deal when he very well knows that he can't?
Well, I think he seems to think, and others have suggested that too, in his party, that keeping a no-deal prospect in the negotiations actually makes his hand slightly sort of fuller, so he can actually get an agreement because he's threatening a no-deal. What he hasn't realised is that Europe is very united. Perhaps he has realised it, but he doesn't want to admit it. Is very united in their belief that the common market and the single market need to remain as it is at present, as they are at present, because of course the 27 countries really want to remain as united as they can, and his no-deal threats don't really, affect very much the position of particularly Macron and Merkel, but also quite a lot of the other members of the EU who believe that they should stay united in this respect. So he hasn't really got very much chance of changing anything there. Germany, where of course he is now, considers the UK as a major trading partner, and you would have thought that they would be quite prepared to push for perhaps some change in whatever has been agreed so far. But if you talk to any of the businesses there, they'll tell you that what they really perceive to be the most important thing is to keep the integrity of the market, the single market, as it is, and then they are not prepared to argue that one should give concessions to the UK right now.
Okay, let's see what Boris Johnson manages to say with the French president when he meets with him tomorrow. Vicky Pryce in Bergerac, thank you for your time as always.